This is from the February 15th, 1988 Watchtower. To be honest means to be truthful and free of fraud. Honesty requires you to be fair in dealing with others, straightforward, honorable, not deceptive or misleading. An honest person is a man of integrity, being always trustworthy. He will never cheat his fellow man. All of us would like to be treated that way, would we not? So can honesty ever become out of date? The Christian immediately sees in the above definitions why anyone professing to be a true worshiper must be an honest person. He worships Jehovah, the God of truth. Reasonably, only truthful men qualify to represent him. So is this true of the governing body? Are they truthful men who represent Jehovah? Well, there's a big difference between making a mistake and being truthful, and we're gonna make that very clear in this video. If the men of the governing body are truthful and straightforward and not misleading, then they simply have to acknowledge that they were unaware of Jesus' return in 1914. They weren't watching, as they say. But in order to uphold the illusion of Watchtower being God's organization, the governing body are not honest about this time period in their history. In the following example, they do not only not tell Jehovah's Witnesses that Russell's prophecies were false, but they mislead Jehovah's Witnesses to believe it came true. Now, this is a great example you can use to show one of Jehovah's Witnesses how the governing body lies. This example is about the World magazine, printed in 1914. And in the Proclaimer's book on page 60, there's a little insert that speaks about this World magazine. The insert also quotes this World magazine, but this magazine is a worldly source. The Watchtower did this to say, oh, see, even a worldly magazine recognized that C.T. Russell prophecies about 1914 came true. And there are other articles, not just the Proclaimer's book, but other Watchtowers that also quoted from this World magazine. But the governing body know that this World magazine was mistaken. They know that Russell did not prophesy about a world war in Germany in 1914. But what did Charles Taze Russell prophesy about 1914? Well, in this Watchtower, the July 15th, 1894, on page 226, it answers that question. Charles Russell said, quote, "But bear in mind that the end of 1914 is not the date for the beginning, but for the end of the time of trouble." So we can see here that what happened in 1914 was exactly the opposite of what Russell had foretold. It's plainly obvious that none of that happened in 1914. Notice what the book The Time Is at Hand, which was printed in 1889, says about this foretold prophecy of Russell's. On page 99 it says, "Within the coming 26 years, all present governments will be overthrown and dissolved. We consider it an established truth that the final end of the kingdom of this world and the full establishment of the kingdom of God will be accomplished by the end of AD 1914. We see not one kingdom came to its end. So Russell was completely wrong. His prophecies did not come true. So why would the governing body want anyone to read that article? Which proves that Russell's prophecies didn't come true. Well, whoever was writing this article had two choices. Either they had to admit that Russell's prophecies were false, or they had to figure out a way to prevent the reader from figuring out that Russell's prophecies were false. So which one do you think Watchtower did? Of course, they did the second. They don't admit it's false, but instead they mislead the reader. If you notice, that little insert that is in the Proclaimer's book talks about the article, but it never mentions the title of the article. And in the 1978 October 8th Awake on page 17, they do show the page from the World magazine. But if you notice, they do something very sneaky and very dishonest. Here's the picture from the Awake, and if you notice, something's missing. They cut the title off. See, here's the original picture. See, the title is End of All Kingdoms in 1914. But see, they know that the kingdoms didn't come to an end, so they had to take the title off of the World magazine. And so they cut that off, so now the title looks like it's Millennial Donner's 25-year prophecy. And so to the Jehovah's Witnesses reading this, it looks to them as if Russell's prophecies all came true. Jehovah's Witnesses have no idea about this. They don't know that they are being misled by the man at the top, who they trust the most. And with that example, you can really see how dishonest they are, because in the one article, they didn't include the title. In the other one, they completely took the title off. So they know that it's wrong what they're printing. They know it's dishonest, it's a lie. So they had to take that off. They know what they're printing is lies. I mean, that's a really good example to show someone. And just like the article at the beginning of this video, it's one thing to make a mistake, but it's another thing to cover up your mistakes by being dishonest. Truly, the Watchtower's greatest enemy is their own literature. Really, all one has to do to fall out of the truth is to read for yourself who they quote from when it's regarding their own history.